What's going on, guys? FadeitLuie here, bringing you guys a brand new video. We're going to be doing a mid-taper fade, so stay tuned. A mid-taper fade is when you fade the sides and then taper up his sideburns. I started by saturating the hair and combing everything in place, and then switching over to my one guard all the way open, debulking the sides. I'm debulking it like if this was my bald line with my trimmers. Now that we're done creating our first guideline, we can move on to the two guard all the way open and create our second guideline. This is going to help us blend into the top bolt. Now that I'm done using the two guard, I can move back onto the one guard all the way open and attack that line between the one guard and the two. Now I'm using the three guard all the way open and my comb to feed the hair into the clipper to blend into the top bulk, and then also prepare ourselves for the clipper over comb method. When using your comb to feed the hair into the clipper, you use the clipper to pick up the hair and then feed it in with the comb. Now that we're done debulking, we can move on to our clipper over comb method and make the fade as smooth as possible. As you can see, I'm using my horizontal cuts to debulk and then my vertical cuts to blend in. Now I'm using my thinning shears to thin out the hair and remove the weight on the sides. There were a few spots I still needed to detail, so I switched over to my full guard all the way open and flicked out as much as possible. Now we're moving on to our T outliners and we're fading his sideburns. We're creating our first guideline at a rainbow shape and making sure we move on to our no guard all the way open, creating our second guideline. Remember to slightly close the lever to erase that initial guideline. I hope you guys are enjoying the video. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you. Now that we're done erasing our initial guideline, we can move on to the one guard all the way open and create our second guideline. We are following that same rainbow shape. Using this guard and the lever is going to prepare us for a zero guard. Here I'm using my no guard all the way open to flick out as much as possible. Since we're done with the taper and we're already here, we're going to use our no guard all the way open to start to blend in the beard. Now we're switching over to our one guard all the way open and we're continuing to blend the sideburn into the taper. Since we're done fading the beard, we can move on to our T outliners and make them as crispy as possible. You want to make sure not to press too hard here because you could bite them with the teeth of the trimmer. Moving on to his C cup, we're starting our way at the bottom and working our way to the top arch using our corners of our T outliners. We're also making sure not to press too hard because you could bite them with the teeth of the trimmer. Now we're lining up the left side C cup. Again, make sure to use your corners and don't press too hard. Again, we're using our no guard all the way open to blend in his sideburns. Moving on to the back side, we're starting off with our one guard all the way open and we're debulking the top. Now we're using our two guard all the way open to create our second guideline, and we're flicking out as much as possible once we're near the calic area. Now that we're done preparing ourselves for clipper oval comb, we can move on to the clipper oval comb method and start to debulk his hair. Moving on to the back taper, we're creating our first guideline with our T outliners, and we're making sure we're contouring this to his head shape. Now we're moving on to our no guard all the way open to create our second guideline. We're then going to slightly close the lever to remove the initial guideline and move on to our one guard. Make sure to use your opposite hand to stretch the skin when needed. Doing this will allow you more space to blend. Now that we're done erasing our initial guideline, we can move on to the one guard and create our third guideline. This is going to help us blend into the fade. Now we're using our zero guard to blend in the half into the one. Moving on to his neckline, you want to make sure not to press too hard because the skin is very thin here, so you could bite them with the teeth of the trimmer. Now we're moving on to the top by saturating the hair as much as possible so we could get the true length. Here we're taking our measurements and then we're making our first guideline across the head and then making it connected to the sides. Always remember, you're grabbing the hair with the comb, feeding it into your fingers, holding it tight, and then cutting it with your shears. Moving on to our Turkish razor and Gerber premium blades, we're gonna make them as crispy as possible. But before we do that, we're gonna apply. You also want to remember to keep the skin as tight as possible and stretch it as much as possible, and keep your blade at a 45-degree angle just so you don't cut your client. Here we're applying a hot towel and we're making sure we press it into his face so he can feel the heat. Again, I hope you guys are enjoying the video. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It's greatly appreciated. Also, if you made it this far into the video, please leave a comment down below. I'm 100% gonna reply to it. What's going on, guys? FadeitLuie here, bringing you guys a brand new video. We're going to be doing a mid-taper on my boy, so stay tuned. We started off by saturating the hair and combing everything into place so we can have a nice and neat canvas. Before we started our taper, we're going to debulk the top and make sure everything's nice and even, just so we can make it easier for us to blend into the sides. We're also making sure the hair is nice and damp so we can get the true length of the hair follicle. Remember, when you're trimming the hair, you want to grab the comb with the hair, comb it in your fingers while pinching it, and then cutting it with your shears. When I do cut the hair, I'm making sure I'm cutting it at an angle so it can blend. Now that we're done creating our canvas and silhouette, we can move on to the back taper and create our first guideline using our Andes T outliners. Now that we're done balding them out, we can move on to our Andes Masters and create our second guideline. We are using the lever midway to make sure we create our second guideline that's equivalent to our no guard all the way open to our wall or gamma clippers. We're then going to slightly close the lever to blend out our initial guideline. Remember to always stretch the skin with your opposite hand to give you more room to blend. Now that we're done erasing our initial guideline, we can move on to the one guard midway and create our third guideline. I hope you guys are enjoying the video. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe is greatly appreciated. Thank you. Remember, we're using the one guard and the lever to soften up the line and get it ready for the zero guard. Now that we're done softening up the line with the one guard, we can move on to the zero guard and erase the line completely. Now we're using the no guard all the way open on its last notch, which is equivalent to a one guard all the way closed on a wall seniors or a gamma ergos. Now we're moving on to our two guard all the way open and we're creating our fourth guideline. Remember to always use your comb to feed the hair into the clipper, especially when you get into longer lengths. Now that we're done softening up the line with the two guard and the lever, we can move on to the one guard all the way open and attack that line. Remember, the zero guard is gonna tie the no guard into the one guard. Now that we're done using our guards, we can move on to our clipper over comb method. As you can see, I'm using the cutting blade horizontally, which means I'm debulking. Then I'm using my cutting blade going vertically, which means I'm blending. You want to make this area near the ear as smooth as possible because it does blend into the taper. As you can see, I'm using the comb to pick up the hair and then I'm cutting it with my masters, either going vertically, sideways, or horizontally. Now I'm using my shears to cut at a certain angle to make sure the hair blends into the taper. Detailing with your shears will make the taper as smooth as possible. Now we're going to debulk the side and make sure this blends into the taper as smooth as possible without showing any bulk. We are also shaping his silhouette with our clipper over comb method. As you can see, we're preparing the canvas right before we start the taper, making sure it's easier to blend into the taper using our guards. Now that we're done creating our silhouette, we can move on to our anesthesia outliners and create our first guideline. Now that we're done balling them out, we can move on to our Andis masters and open the lever midway. Remember, when the lever is open midway, this is equivalent to a wall guard all the way open with no guard. Now that we're done embracing our initial guideline, we can move on to the one guard midway and create our third guideline. This is equivalent to a one guard all the way open on a wall senior or Gamma Ergos Pro. Now that we're done softening up the line with the lever, we can move on to the zero guard and erase the line completely. Now we're moving on to our two guard midway and we're creating our fourth guideline. We're also using the comb to feed the hair into the clipper, making sure it's as smooth as possible. We're now using our three guard all the way open to help us blend into the bulk. Now that we're done with our side taper, we can move on to the C-cups and use our anesthesia outliners to make them as crispy as possible. Remember, I always like to start off at the bottom and work my way to the top arch, going as slow as possible, making sure the hair feeds into the clipper. It's always best to detail after you're done lining them up because it does show a few guidelines in the fade or taper. Here we're using our previous guards to detail the taper as much as possible. Moving on to his neckline, we're using our T outliners to make him as crispy as possible. Again, I always start off at the bottom and work my way to the top arch. I feel like it just flows better that way. Remember not to press too hard near the top of the ear area because the skin is softer there, so you could bite them with the teeth of the trimmer. Now we're lining up the left C cup and we're starting off at the bottom, working our way to the top arch. We're making sure we're very light near his lip area because the teeth of the trimmer could bite him. Always, before you line up someone's goatee or beard, you comb it out. It's always best to lay the client's head back so they could be more comfortable and also more stability for you. Before we line them up, we're going to debulk the hairline with the one guard all the way open to the last notch. We're then going to use our T outliners to line them up, starting off in the middle and working our way to the sides. Remember, we're not pressing too hard and we're keeping the hairline as natural as possible. Always keep your client's vertical bars as natural as possible. It's always best to reline the hairline multiple times because there are hairs that get away and you just have to readjust. Again, always add extra details to the hairline. This is the main thing that clients pay attention to. Again, I hope you guys are enjoying the video. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It's greatly appreciated. Also, if you leave a comment down below that you made it this far into the video, I'm 100% going to reply to it. Moving on to my Turkish razor and Derby premium blades, we're going to make them as crispy as possible. We're also going to be doing his eyebrows and beard. Before we use the razor, you always want to apply shave gel to make the blade glide a little bit smoother. And then also, you want to stretch the skin as much as possible before you use the razor because you don't want to cut them.